Hey everyone. So continuing that bandwagon jumping on reviews, and 2019 is kind of a big year for pretty much all of us because it's the end of a decade. We're not just going into another year of whatnot. Don't knock over the camera. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna review the last 10 years. I promise I won't go into too much detail and make this an hour-long video, but you guys know how I like to ramble. So, overview, a quick overview, and I'll pinpoint some things. So, in the last 10 years, from 2009 to 2019, I have done a lot looking back, and as I'm encroaching onto my 30s, 10 months from now I turn 30. It's like I don't feel like I did anything. I don't feel like I amounted to anything. I've wasted my youth. I've wasted my 20s. I did nothing, which is a complete lie. I may not be where I wanted to be. I may not be as successful as I wanted to be. Like, for instance, I wanted to own my own house by now. I expected to have a good full-time job, like a 9-to-5 or like a museum job that paid decently, that paid $35,000 plus annually, preferably higher than that. Full benefits, a 401k going, you know, a pension plan, some investments, all that good stuff. I only have a little bit of that. Very, very minute. But yeah, so starting in 2009, I graduated high school, which might not seem like a big deal, but I fucking hated high school. I could not wait to get the fuck up out of there. The thought of dropping out never crossed my mind because it just didn't. No real particular reason. It was just a rough time. I hated it. I wasn't bullied or anything, but I had some really shit teachers, especially in math, that didn't help me at all and nearly caused me not to graduate on time. I unpinned them, so now I'm going to be playing with my bangs. Yeah. Oh, these are, I'm playing a video game in between. I'm like recording, taking a break, doing some other stuff, because I got a lot of stuff to do tomorrow. Just for a night out. Kind of ridiculous in perspective, but it'll be worth it. It'll be fun. Anyways, yeah, so 2009, graduated from high school. See, I'm doing the rabbit trails and bunny hopping. Or you know what I'm trying to say. If you don't, it's okay, because I don't either. 2009. Finally I graduated high school on time, despite some shitty teachers, but because I had some really good teachers to kind of balance that out, I was able to do it. I applied to colleges at the last minute. Well, it's not necessarily true. In October 2008, I did apply to some art schools. Didn't get in. I was like, well, fuck it. I don't know what I want to do with my life because I wanted to go for photography. And then that kind of just really... That is probably the most crushing rejection I've ever had in my life, was that I didn't get into the one thing I thought I was really good at. So that kind of just really crushed the passion for that. But is why I know how to work cameras in Photoshop, even 10 years later. Well, technically 11. Anyways, we're already at 4 minutes. Jesus Christ. Yeah. And then I applied last minute to a local community college. It's a university now, but it's still... It only got that because it merged with another college, so it's technically big enough to be a university, but it's quality-wise, it's not university standards, in my opinion. But it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Anyways, I'm being shady as fuck for no reason. I didn't want to go. I did it because my family wanted me to go to college. They're like, that's what you do. You go to college. Like, Sandra had her bachelor's. She's one of the few in our family that did, on both sides. and then some other cousins got two of them already have got their master's degrees, and like my dad went back a few times, got a couple of different associates, and then finally got his bachelor's degree. So it's never too late to go back. He got his bachelor's degree at 55. Never too late to go back. So yes, I went there fall semester of 2009. I dropped out about before Thanksgiving 2009. I hated it. I was not prepared in the least. We paid out of pocket because nobody told me about financial aid. Not even the school itself, not even the college itself told me anything about financial aid. They were like, this is how much it is, this is how much your books are, you gotta pay for it. And so we assumed, even though my parents got funding through the military when they went to school, and scholarships and stuff, so they didn't really know about student loans all that much either. I don't think my dad even had student loans until he went back and got his bachelor's, but I'm not entirely sure on that. So it was like, okay, here's $1,000+, and I mean, I feel bad for wasting that money, but it was not the right institution for me. I was only taking 3 classes, so it was not like the workload was a lot. It was just, it was mundane. I was like, no, I wasn't being challenged. I was in remedial classes that I shouldn't have been in the first place, but I didn't realize that at the time. And then, so I just was like, you know what? I'm out. Peace. I didn't tell anybody either. I told them I withdrew. And I didn't. I straight up dropped out. I was like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. My major was French, because I was pretty decent at that in high school. So I was like, maybe I can become fluent and work at the UN or something, which I really should have stuck with that, because that's a good fucking idea. And then I would have had what I was planning to have. But after that, I took a 1.5 years off. No fucking idea what I wanted to do still. I was toying with some ideas like cultural anthropology and stuff like that, but like it has a lot of science, and I'm okay at science, but not confident enough in it to make it a career. So I went back to a local 2-year college, decided I'll get history. I like history, I'm good at history, I'll do that. So within 18 months, I ended up not getting 1 but 2 degrees, because I finished my history associates early, and I had 6 months to get a secondary education degree because it didn't take any time at all, and it was the perfect school for me at that time in my life. I highly recommend it. It's Georgia Military College. There's campus all over Georgia, and it's not just for military students. It's open to everybody. It's reasonably priced. It's quarter semesters instead of like 8 weeks versus 3 months. Sometimes it's like really quick. So you're taking in a lot at the same time, but then you get like a 2-week break. And that's what my master's did, which made it a lot easier, and probably why I did better, because I'm a procrastinator. And so yeah, great school. They walked me through the financial aid. They told me exactly what I needed to take in order to get everything done on time, and that's why I ended up getting done early. And the same thing when I came back for because there was that 6-month window before I graduated from GMC and went to Wesleyan, that I was like, what am I gonna do with this free time? Because I was just working as a waitress then, 2 days a week. So I was bored. So I went back to school, got my second degree. Right after that, I went straight into Wesleyan, which at the time, those 2 years were phenomenal. I absolutely fell in love with the school. I made lifelong friends, even with some of the staff and the teachers. Just loved it, loved it, loved it. It was perfect. I burnt myself out though, really bad. My last semester, I did terrible. I got like 2 or 3 C's. I was taking 5 classes. There was this thing called stunt that I was on the board for, and it was a lot. I managed it, but if I had paced myself better, not been such a procrastinator, I would have done a lot better. I was just trying to take on too much, and I was working 3 jobs at the time, 2 campus jobs, 1 off-campus job, and then I also did an internship one summer there. But 3.5 years, I managed to get 3 degrees, one of which being a bachelor's. And so I took 2 years off. I was like, you know what? I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And in thinking back, I didn't realize until recently how pivotal 2009 was as a year. That was Obama's first year in office, so nationally and even internationally, that is a really big deal. God damn it, I miss him. Oof. January 6th is just gonna be so fun. Anyways, because we all know what's not gonna happen, and that's just depressing, but we're not gonna think about that. We're talking about the past, not the future. Oh, it's already 10 minutes. Okay. But then like my granny passed away, so that was really difficult to deal with 2 months before I graduated from high school. Because we were really close, and she was my last grandparent to pass. And she didn't graduate from high school. She had like an 8th grade education, so I really wanted her to see that, but I mean, she's 84. Once you've lived your life, you've lived your life. Can't do much about that. And then there was that, and then not having any direction, and ending up kind of stumbling into some sort of direction. and I got a history degree, so I have 2 degrees in history, 1 in education. And then I took 2 years off, looking for a job, was unemployed for 6 months, didn't know what the fuck I was gonna do. I'm like, nobody's gonna hire an undergraduate history degree person. I even applied to some private school teaching jobs, because then you don't need the certification, you just need a degree in something. And then still nothing. I feel like they just inherently knew I didn't actually want it. I've been toying with the idea of teaching at colleges. Maybe I'll do that. I need to do that. Remind me, you guys. For some reason I've been in vacation mode, even though I don't do fucking anything, but remind me. I'm just thinking multiple things, and I'm like, maybe not a good idea to teach, because the things I want to do. We'll see. And so I ended up stumbling into I worked at a historic house. That was kind of neat. They were Confederate supporters, so that not so neat. And a lot of complications. It was 2015, so that was, if you remember, go look at what was happening in the South in 2015. The way our director handled it was really, really good, so it made it a lot easier. And they were Wesleyan alumni, women of the house that back from the 1800s. I mean, obviously they're not still alive there. And that was really neat, and I learned a lot. And then I stumbled into my first full-time position with benefits, and that was at Soma Intimates. I learned a lot about boobies. But the most pivotal thing that happened back it up to 2015 is that I finally figured out that I was pan and had been lying to myself all those years of saying, oh, women are beautiful, but I'm not interested in women like that. No, I mean, I kissed a girl, but I didn't really like it. It's because she had really thin lips, and that's why I didn't like it. And she wasn't a very good kisser either. And it was on Truth or Dare, so there was no intimacy or emotion behind it. I'm like, I don't want to say slightly demi, but that's the best way to describe it. There has to be some sort of attraction there for me, whether it's emotional, personality, or physical. And she had none of that. I'm like, no, I'm not. The men. Barely. Men are annoying, to say the least. Some of them are good, though. Some. I'm such an asshole. Anyways, that was the most pivotal thing. Then getting a full-time job, and I just worked all the time. And then I was like, why don't I add on more stress and get a master's degree? After a year of working, a little less than a year, I went back to Wesleyan because they have an MBA program, and I did really fucking well in business. Who would have thought? I got A's in math classes. My biggest problem in high school and in undergrad were my math classes. But I figured it out. Something clicked and it worked, and I remember how to do some of it still. I understand what the stocks are doing and economic viewpoints, and it may look good, but it's not. So, you know. And then I was on the verge of going to get a house. I was talking to realtors and looking at mortgage rates and bringing my credit score up. Then I got 2 weeks in the hospital. Couldn't pay for them. Went to collections, killed my credit score because I was only making $10.50 an hour by the time I left. So I was getting, and plus part commission. So my lowest baseline check, to give you an idea, would be $525 a month, every 2 weeks, because nearly $300 came out in insurance and benefits. So I was living off of that, basically a little over $1,000 a month. And somehow I managed to do it for a little while, and then I couldn't do it anymore. That's why I'm back here. So then, yeah, I had to move back here, and then shortly after that, I quit Soma right before, about 2 weeks before Black Friday, because we didn't leave on good terms. It is what it is. And I was unemployed for a long time again, still finishing up grad school. I had about 3 semesters left, well, 2.5. I had a 4.0 at the time, and then it dropped to a 3.8. There's 2 B's. One was an 87. That's just disrespectful. And then that brings us to, I just completely glazed over the 2 pivotal relationships that I had. I don't want to go into depths of them because they're a lot. I had my first in 2010? Yeah, it was either, was it 2010 or 11? I think it was 2011 because we broke up in 2013. That would have been 2 years. Yeah, something. Yeah, 2011. I had my first real relationship. Like, I dated a guy in high school. It lasted like 3 months, but nobody really counts those. And it's not like it was gonna go, we would go to the movies and that was about it. So there's that, and hang out occasionally, maybe do homework together, you know, nothing was gonna grow from that. So I got my first relationship, met him in a history class at GMC. Thought he was great. Kind of surprised me by asking me out. I didn't expect it. I didn't have a crush on him, we were just friends. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. Because I guess because I was just so taken aback by it. And then I started to be like, oh, okay, yeah, I like this guy. Sure. And that was a mistake. That was a mistake. Big one. It was 2.5 years later, through a hella abusive relationship, filled with cheating on his end, because I would never. I just would leave. But, you know, shit happens. I don't judge anymore. I used to be really judgy. I'm not anymore. Shit happens. Unless it happens to me, then I'm judging the fuck out of you. Mate. It's like nearly 2 o'clock in the morning because I got so much shit to do. Oh, it's cold. It's tea. It's cold. I didn't finish this thought at all. They're blue screen protectors, so they don't hurt my eyes don't hurt, and they have a slight magnification to them. Got them at Target. I think I talked about it in a video. And then, so I ended that. We had gotten engaged, and no ring. We had looked at rings. The question had been asked. And then I moved to Wesleyan, and realized, even though we were only 30 minutes away from each other, that was all I needed to finally put a stop to it. Be like, all right, I'm not in the center of this anymore. I'm done. We can't do this anymore. This is not healthy for me. I should not be crying before I go to my classes. And, you know, shit like that. My education's more important. And so I really focused, because I had plans to go to an Ivy League school or go to a school in Atlanta. And I settled on Wesleyan because it was closer and it was a good school still. I mean, I picked a good school for me at the time, but yeah. And I think being an all-women school and being around all women really helped put perspective on just the relationship as a whole. And I was like, all right, we're done. And I ended that, and then I was single for 4 years. 4 glorious years. I went on a couple dates, but nothing really came of those. And then first semester of the master's program, I was paired up with this guy in my class to do... Sounded like the front door open, but we're all home. A little creepy. I know the front door's locked though. And you know, he was again kind of the same situation. I didn't really have any feelings for him, but then he asked me to come over one night after where we were studying at the library, and he made me laugh and shit. And I was like, all right. I know what happens when they ask you to come over. I'm not that naive. I knew it was gonna happen, and that happened. And that kind of just kept happening. I say relationship because it's the easiest thing to say because we weren't really that close of friends. So like associates with benefits, classmates with benefits. But at the same time, feelings did grow on both sides. And it was just tumultuous, turbulent, also abusive. There was a lot of gaslighting and manipulation involved. Yeah, so it's like there were feelings on both sides, but they were never fully addressed, and then never could get on the same page. Never could get on the same page, which was a pain in the ass, because it's like we communicated okay. It didn't always turn into a fight, but then January 2018, last year. Whew. So we're coming up to the end. Last year, I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. Stay away from me. I don't feel safe around you. And we still had 6 months left in the program. So I addressed these issues to the school, and the reflection's killing me, you guys. That's all I'm staring at. Shit. Where's this bun chill going? Forgot. Completely forgot. So I addressed it to the school and be like, hey, I don't necessarily want him kicked out of the program. I just want it very clear that there needs to be no contact between us whatsoever. And they were like, okay, we can make that happen. And then come June 2018, we went to Brazil. He thought, I don't know what he was thinking. Maybe he thought, we're in another country. What happened? Doesn't matter. Maybe I can bring her back to the hotel room. I don't know. I kept it civil because I'm like, I'm in a different country. I don't know what'll happen if shit hits the fan. I don't know where to go, what to do. So I'm just gonna keep civil. If he wants to help me get my bag down out of the overhead, fine. Just be like, thank you, okay. Keep it moving. And then his little side piece, whatever she was, lost her shit in Brazil because he was talking to me again. And like got drunk and got super messy and started cussing me out in front of the rest of the class who had no idea that we had been sleeping together. Not me and the girl, me and the dude. And I'm just like, okay, chill. I warned you about him back in February. So you brought it on yourself because you didn't listen. And then she got mad at me because I was just like, I told you so. And I'm not gonna do anything. And it's like, I know. And then as soon as I got back, literally like 4 days later, I found out I had HPV. So, yeah. And then even more shit hit the fan with him. And now I'm finally free of him. Finally fucking free of him. Thank God. Like, it was a mess. It was awful. And it really pushed me to some really dark places and to the brink that I thankfully came back from, as I nearly didn't. And that was last summer. Then I got those precancer cells laser cut out of my cervix. That's the only place we saw them at the time. And yeah, ended 2018. Well, no, I had a job. There were a lot of jobs the last few years. Yeah, anyways. Yeah. I forgot what I was saying. I graduated with 3.8. Did that. Despite all his bullshit, he tried. He tried to get me kicked out of the program and everything after Brazil. And after finding out that he gave me HPV. Because he's the only one I've slept with. And yes, I know it can be like even Virgin you can get it, but I mean, the things added up. He was sleeping around, I wasn't. Then I magically got this thing that I have, that I got the vaccine for. I mean, different strands. We've talked about that. I get a little loopy when I'm tired. More so than normal. And then I need to stop slouching, you guys. I got this painting in Brazil. It's super cheap too. I don't even think it cost 50 real US dollars. I think it's 45 US dollars. And yeah, so I ended 2018 thinking I was cancer free. So that was a rough year. 2018 was really rough. Then 2019's like, well, bitch, you thought that was rough. But a lot of good came out of 2019. I want to spend a little bit more on this past year because it's more fresh. It's been a long ass year for starters. It really has. But I fully got back into cosplaying. I really found that passion, that joy for it again, and even more so that I really want to focus more attention on that now going into 2020 more than I did last year. I had goals of traveling and going to more cons this year, which both happened. I went to places I've never been before, like been to Mississippi, been to New Orleans, haven't been to either of those places. I went back to places I hadn't been in so long. Orlando, I met some really great people that I'm really happy I now have in my life. And just I had a lot of good experiences despite a lot of negative that happened. The most negative thing that happened was finding out I had more lesions pop up. There's more cancer cells on my cervix. There's these precancerous lesions that are a step away from being cancer. I'm trying to figure out the Medicaid stuff and just getting a surgery planned and all that. And hopefully by next month, well, this is first, so by mid-January or so, it can all be taken care of for good, and it'll be finally be gone, because the virus lasts about 2 years through your system, so it's on its way out, because it was in my system when I had my pap smear in April 2018, so it could have been from any time before then up to now, so it's got to be working its way out of my system. So fingers crossed this is the last procedure I have to be done and everything gets taken care of. And my skills at cosplaying got better. I know how to use a sewing machine now. I know how to use a heat gun, a Dremel, a drill, a heat knife, a measuring board. I know more or less how to read patterns. Not anything too complicated, but I more or less know what I'm doing with that. I know how to style wigs better now. I know how to detangle them and defrizz them and dye them. Bring them back from death. Yeah, and I've had a lot of good experiences this year compared to last year. Like I feel like I was depressed a lot and down a lot and had a lot of fear and anxiety, but at the same time, like, all I can remember thinking back in this very moment are like the good things that happened, the good things that I had, good times I had, like going to Mississippi with Steffi for an anime convention, going to New Orleans with my friend, going to Orlando with my friends and crying at Disney World, dressing up as my favorite characters, introducing a friend to Dragon Con. It was his first one, and the amazement that is Dragon Con. Getting to see good friends that I only get to see once a year at Dragon Con. Visiting my sister out in Washington State. That's the first time I've been out that. That's the first time I've been out west. And then, like, I went to Savannah for Halloween, and that was a lot of fun. I've drank a lot this year. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but I've drank a lot. But out of fun, not out of depression. I try to stay away from alcohol. I don't know where to stop recording it. I was talking about alcohol and how I don't know if it was good or bad. But I try to stay away from it when I'm depressed because it makes it worse. That's what I was saying, so if it cut that off, there you go. I'm trying to wrap this up. I really am. I'm in the last year. I was really aiming for this to only be like 25 to 30 minutes long. I mean, you guys know how I am. Anyways, so yeah, I feel like I learned a lot more about myself. I grew a lot this year. And I grew a lot this year because of everything that's happened in the last decade. I went through some shitty relationships. I've had some really good highs. I've had some really low lows. And now I have finally figured, put some direction to my life. Took 10 years, but I finally got there more or less. I know what I want to do. I have started putting in steps, that's the phrase I'm looking for, into how I'm going to achieve that. Not on cosplay stuff, on things relating to cosplay that are a little outside my comfort zone, but I'm excited about. And then also in potential career path and what I want to do as my future and how I want to affect other people. I don't know why. 2015 Hamilton came out. Let's just stop for a minute. We need to talk. We need to address this and how magnificent Hamilton is. I mean, I literally every day there's a reference to Hamilton, and like the people who don't watch this, haven't heard it, don't understand. I'm like, you're missing out. You're missing your shot. Like, what are you waiting for? Like, come on. Lin-Manuel Miranda is a genius. And then In the Heights is becoming a movie. Like, okay. That helped me get through. It helped me get through a lot of stuff. And Lemonade! That is a masterpiece! I mean, it is Beyonce's finest work to date. Just saying. Should have got a goddamn Oscar for it. If she did, I wasn't paying attention because I don't watch the Oscars. But, holy shit. Yeah. That was a good year. Anyways, yes, I found out a lot about myself. I've grown a lot. And what made me think, I was thinking the word legacy, like my legacy I leave behind, which is so cringy and very egotistical. But I guess that's the best word for it. I want something that will outlive me, as Hamilton says in Act 2. He says it quite a few times actually throughout the play, but musical. Yeah, so but like when I'm in a depressive state now, I know how to handle it a bit better. When I go into full mental breakdown, I don't lash out as bad as I used to. I used to be really mean and really tear people apart that didn't deserve it. Or even if they did deserve it, it was just below the belt. And so I've learned how to, or even when I'm just mad in general, rest on it. Don't lash out in pure emotion. Because maybe what you're saying is true or needs to be said, but the way you're saying it is not. So I've gotten a bit better about that, which is a lot for me, because there are still examples in my life who people haven't had that growth, and I'm glad I'm steering away from that and not getting into my 50s and later and still acting like a teenager who doesn't know how to communicate. I've learned a lot about communication and communicating better, about my wants and my needs and what comes first and my boundaries. And I have every right to get mad when those boundaries aren't respected, and not backing down from that, being like, hey, you did not respect this boundary. That's not okay. And if they get mad at me, I'll be like, okay, well then you just need to walk away. I don't like cutting people out of my life. And that's still something I need to work on, because I'll say, I'm gonna cut you out of my life, and I don't really want that. I just want you away from me in that moment. I don't want to talk to you, be around you, or think about you in that moment. but that doesn't mean the rest of my life. So that's something I definitely got to work on. So yeah, and then I've just, again, even in like the relationship sphere, we've talked about I don't like dating, I don't want to get married. Even like the idea of a standard relationship, I'm not down for. Like, I just want somebody to chill with. Like, I want the things out of a relationship, like physical touch and, you know, hanging out with each other, even sex, and then but in that intimacy that a relationship can bring, without the in-game thought always at the back of your head. It's like, well, we've been dating so this long, we've been in a relationship this long, so we have to get married now. It's like, just let it chill, just let it ride its course. And if like I got shit to do, okay, cool. You got shit to do, okay, cool. I'm gonna focus on my career and my future. I hope you do the same, because that's gonna be my first priority, and my world isn't gonna center around the relationship. So that's kind of like, I've thought about it, put some thought into it. If that were to happen, if I found someone and that were to happen, that's what I would want, and I would make that very clear, because I think that was definitely a big problem. We were never, in my last relationship, we were never clear on exactly what we wanted, because we would tiptoe around each other and then blow up. So yeah, someone I can be chill with, and I know this term is overused, but someone I can vibe with. It's just like, chill. We chill. But not an open relationship, because it's not even a jealousy thing. I would just feel inadequate, and again, something I need to work on, but it's like, am I not enough for you? Am I not provide what you're looking for? Kind of thing. And again, that's me and self-conscious and insecurities. So, and yeah, it was a long year, a long decade, because that was my whole 20s. 2009 to 2019 was 10 years. It was not 20 years. It was all through my whole 20s. You grow a lot in your 20s. I am a completely different person, not only as I was from last year, but from 19 years old. I was 18. 18 turned 19. I went from just being able to vote in the 2008 election, voted for Obama. I miss him. I want him back. Michelle, please save us. It might be too late to go into the primaries. Please. Primaries are like in March, aren't they? They're coming up quick. Do your research. Don't rely on what other people are telling you. Do your own research. That's what I did. I've done in every single I've Googled the candidates, found what their policies they're wanting to do and what they stand behind and stuff like that. Just forget the news. Don't pay any attention to that. Do your own research. Because the news is not, no matter what channel you watch, none of it's unbiased like it's supposed to be. So, yeah. Somebody's always paying somebody at the end of the day. But yeah, I wish I had grown as a person about 2 or 3 more inches in the last 10 years. That would have been nice. I wouldn't be having to hem this dress tomorrow by 3 inches. Because apparently a small equals 6 foot tall. I don't know. Yeah. So, and I just look at things differently now. I try my best not to be judgmental. I try to be very understanding and empathetic and sympathetic, and just try to understand what's going on, try to communicate better. Still not great at it, but I'm getting better. And yeah, it is a long time coming, but I survived. I survived the last decade. I survived the last year, despite what the world was throwing at me. And I'll survive the next year, and hopefully many more after that. And I hope you guys do the same. If, sometimes shit hits the fan, and surviving is all you can do. But that's a lot. That is a lot. And if you went through some struggles of your own, but you still made it. I'm so happy you're here. And yeah, I will see you. I really want to do it. I really want to do it. I'm not gonna do the joke. Okay, we've already heard the joke. It's enough. So I'll see you guys in the next video. I know this ran long. I apologize, but not really. And I can't wait to see what 2020 brings us. Hope you have a great day. Bye, you guys.